From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, October the 31st, 2025. The remains of two hostages returned yesterday to Israel by terror group Hamas via the Red Cross have been identified. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said IDF representatives informed the families of fallen hostages Amiram Cooper and Sahar Baruch of blessed memory that their loved ones have been returned to Israel and that their identification has been completed. Cooper was 84 years old, abducted alive from his house in Nir Oz by Hamas terrorists, believed to have been murdered in captivity in February of last year. 25-year-old Baruch was abducted alive from his home in Kibbutz Be'eri. It is believed he was murdered in captivity on December the 8th of 2023. May their memories be for a blessing. The IDF said it continues to make every effort to return all the deceased hostages and is prepared for the continued implementation of the agreement. The remains of 11 hostages are still being held by terror group Hamas in Gaza. Israel's leading independent humanitarian organization, IsraAid, sent an emergency response team yesterday to Jamaica after the Category 5 Hurricane Melissa hit the area on Tuesday. The IsraAid team will focus, it wrote, on providing support in water sanitation and hygiene, as well as mental health and psychosocial support. IsraAid's Senior Director of Emergency Operations, Michal Bar, said the damage we're seeing from Hurricane Melissa is devastating, and IsraAid is committed to standing with affected communities at this critical moment. As with our previous responses in the region, she said, we'll stand with communities for as long as they need us. Well, a hateful art exhibit appeared briefly on Governor's Island in New York City this past weekend, full of anti-Israel and pro-terror slogans, including a street sign reading F Israel Lane. The installation was taken down after a few hours. New York City Mayor Eric Adams addressed the matter during a speech at City Hall yesterday, warning of the spread of anti-Semitism and saying we must never tolerate this type of prejudice.
Anti-Semitism is a virus that mutates. It comes back in different forms and finds new ways to hide in plain sight. I want to be clear that disagreeing with the policies of Israel government does not make someone anti-Semitic, but to openly praise Hamas at an exhibit in a government facility sends a message of institutionalizing hatred.
The JTA reports that the installation was not sanctioned by Governor's Island and was in a section of it being used by a floating food forest nonprofit called Swale, which said it was devastated that someone would use a restorative project for their own personal platform for sowing discord. The individual responsible was not part of our programming, it said. We view this as a deliberate and malicious act by the artist. Hundreds of Jewish community leaders from around the world will gather in Jerusalem this coming Sunday through Tuesday for the Jewish Agency for Israel's Board of Governors meeting. It will focus on developing plans for reconstruction and rehabilitation in northern and southern Israel, the agency wrote, strengthening social resilience and empowering Israel and world Jewry to meet today's challenges. It noted that community representatives will also meet family members of former hostages, as well as meet with bereaved families. To, it said, continue to raise awareness of the need to bring back the bodies of hostages who have not yet been returned to Israel. Chairman Major General in Reserve Doron Almog said after more than 2 years of war, we now face a tremendous challenge to restore, rebuild, and heal Israeli society. This, he said, is a moment when the entire Jewish people in Israel and worldwide are being tested on their unity and commitment, calling the gathering an expression of mutual responsibility and deep dedication to this long journey of repair and reconstruction. Two Israeli filmmakers won major awards here in the U.S. this week. The Creative Community for Peace wrote defying growing calls to boycott Israel's film industry. Yuval Haddadi won the Narrative Feature Award at the Austin Film Festival for A Man Walks Down the Street. And Meyer Levinson Blount and his film Butcher's Stain took second place at the Student Academy Awards, an international student film awards program which is part of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, October the 31st. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. Then at 8:30, it's Rabbi Mark Wilds on Jewish Insights with Justin Pines. At 9:30, Lani Appo and Sarah Pdemski sit with Jonah Platt on Being Jewish with Jonah Platt. Then it's a replay from the Hampton Synagogue, followed by a replay from Central, and coming up next, a look at this week's Torah Portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, October the 31st, 2025. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom. Am Yisrael Chai.